So we're doing a lovely little watercolor abstract, and we're going to do a little bit of sewing on top. So love doing this. So the watercolor paints that I'm using today are the Milan watercolors, and I'm using a combination of blues and browns and a little bit of yellow ochre. So the blues are aquamarine and Prussian blue, and we've got the yellow ochre and we've got the burnt umber. So I'm just making some shapes. I've got a flat brush here, just being a bit random, or at least trying to be, getting that colour down. And then once I've got the blues and the yellow ochre, I am going to grab some of that burnt umber and just do some lines down the page. Now this is taking a little bit more time to make a decision as to where I want these lines, but I get there in the end. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to let the paint dry, and I've grabbed a stencil. I've got a lovely honeycomb pattern on this stencil, and I thought it'd be fun to get an old black Uniball fine liner pen. This pen has really come to the end of its days, but I just wanted to give it one last go. I get really attached to, items that I've used for a long time, and I think, oh, can't he just last a little bit longer? So I decided to use him on this stencil. So I'm just drawing around this honeycomb kind of pattern just to make a lovely pattern on the page. And then when I've finished with that, I've purchased some Jelly Roll Sakura pens, and I thought they'd be fun to use. These ones are called Moonlight Fluorescent, and I've picked out the blue. And they're really, really lovely to use. I don't know why I haven't purchased them before, but really, really enjoyed using them. The flow of the actual ink was really, really good, and it really came out well, I thought. So putting these lines in the negative space, I think that looks really quite nice. Being free with the direction that I want them to go, so just changing it up every time I come to a negative space. And once I've done that, I'm using the stencil that I've already used because I really like the shapes that it had, these lines. And I've got this punching tool to punch through the watercolour paper because I'm going to do some sewing, and I'm going to use the stencil as my guide. I wanted some nice straight lines, and it's very hard to get your straight lines doing it freehand. So I thought, well, let me use this stencil and let's see how that works. So I've punched the holes through, and I'm just peeling off the tape around my picture because I need to get to the back of the picture in order to stitch onto it. So once I've done that, I've threaded my thread onto a needle, and the colour that I've chosen is a brown colour. Because I thought that goes well with the picture. We've already got a brown, it's sort of a dark brown. Here I'm just making those holes a little bit bigger because my needle is bigger than the holes, and I don't want the paper to rip. I have got 300 grams watercolour paper, which is quite thick, and I do suggest that you go for the thicker paper. It just makes it more easier and less chance of it ripping. So I'm just adding some stitching onto the page, just using those holes that I've already punched through, and they are making sure that all my stitches stay nicely in line. I'm pulling it tightly as I put that needle through the page. It can be a little bit tricky getting that needle through, especially the head of the eye of the needle because it's got your cotton in, but it does go through. You've just got to be really careful with it. So all the items that I've got here, I've listed below. I am affiliated with Amazon, and you can purchase them through the links that I've supplied, which does mean that I do get a small commission, but don't feel that you have to purchase through those links. The information is for you to have a look at, and you may be able to purchase the items elsewhere, and it may be cheaper elsewhere. So don't feel the need to actually click those links, but maybe have a look, and if you want to purchase the items, feel free to do that. It's just for your convenience, really. Okay, so just continuing stitching through this paper, and it really is quite fun to do. You can see I've got an old picture there that is on the back of my paper. I tend to utilise both sides of my watercolour paper just because I like to be thrifty and I like to utilise everything I can to the end. I mean, you saw that with the pen that was coming to the end of its life, though I have put it back into my pencil case along with my other black pen, so I'm not quite sure which one it is, so it might have another day of doing a little bit of doodle work yet. So continuing round and putting those stitches, so I do run out of the cotton, and all you need to do is put a little knot at the back of your page, and then you can thread some more thread through, and then you can start again. So when I finish that, I've got some acrylic ink here, and I thought it'd be fun to add some lovely round dots. So I'm just adding some dots where there isn't any cotton and there isn't any pattern. I am still layering over the top of that blue ink mark, those blue pen marks, but that's fine. And then I thought these ones needed to be a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to make them a little bit bigger by doing that. So I've let that acrylic ink dry, and I've got a white Uniball broad pen, and I'm just doing these lines round, and I'm trying to make it look a little bit like stitching. So just going round, and you can do this if you don't really want to do the stitching. You could do the stencil work with a pen and then add some little dots on the edges, and it will look like stitching. You won't have that raised profile, but you will have the same kind of look. So continuing round all of these dots with that white pen, and then I'm going to change up to a black pen. Now this is a brand new black pen. This isn't the old one. This is a new one because I needed to be able to see these little round dots. So if you can imagine, you put your thread through the hole and you can see like a little round dot. That's what I'm trying to emulate, that look, that stitching that is going around that acrylic ink there. So I hope you like this. I hope you get to try. If you like this, maybe you'll consider liking and subscribing, or maybe you'll leave me a comment. Let me know how you get on. Do you try this? Is it any good? Did you change your colours? How was the stitching for you? Okay, so we can see all the detail here, and you can see the raised profile of that stitching. I really love the way it looks. It really gives it some texture and a bit of a 3D effect, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope to see you again soon. All right then, have a great day. Bye.